Please tell me your full name and where and when you were born.
My name is Glen Hinkle. I was born in Upper Holler, just south of Barberville, I believe, in Girdler, Kentucky, in 1956, December the 12th, 1956. Uh, uh, I wasn't born in a hospital. A granny woman delivered me. So whatever that means today. A midwife, I suppose.
Do you have any family members that are serving or have served in the military?
No.
What were you doing before you entered the service?
Well, I just got out of high school, and I participated in church activities a lot just before I turned wild. And then I joined the Marine Corps. And that's pretty much it before the military.
Why did you choose the Marine Corps when you enlisted?
I was athletic in school, and I had the abilities to do a lot of things that normal people couldn't do. Let's see. Yeah, I squatted 530 pounds in high school. I run track. I didn't break the world record until I was in the Philippines. But I just felt the Marine Corps would be a good thing. But I really didn't want to join because I just didn't want to join. But the recruiters kept hounding me. And I moved out from my foster parents' home and found a place on my own. And the recruiters still found me. And I joined. Finally, I raised my hand and swore I do. And that's how I became a Marine.
What happened when you departed for boot camp and during early days of training?
Nothing really. I came home on leave to get married. And get married to my wife, and thinking I was just going to go no farther than Hawaii. But that was a bad mistake. I skipped Hawaii and kept on going to the Philippines. Anyway, I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Would you tell me a little bit about boot camp, about the barracks and the food and the physical regimen?
Barracks was real good. It was real nice. It was clean, of course. It was clean. Boot camp wasn't too bad physically. Mentally, it took a toll on me. Because I remember laying in the bed at night and asking God. I'd say, Lord, what have I done to deserve this? I have to laugh at myself. It was a little rough, mentally. Even though I was raised rough, it had its mental issues. Other than that, after a while, I got used to it. Well, of course, you're being re-socialized. So I got re-socialized and become a Marine. Remember graduation day, they finally called us Marines instead of the bad words. But boot camp was not too bad. When I got out in the Marine Corps, it turned out to be even better, even though I was in a foreign country. I got in trouble a lot. I fought a lot. I liked to fight. Or I didn't like to, I had to. And First Sergeant would get on to me all the time. What'd you fight for this time? My reply would be, like if it's a military person like a Navy, he said, "You Marines think you're bad, you're nothing," and here it would go. It would be on. And then out in the island, on the island after midnight, it was real dangerous because we had martial law at that time. President Marcos back in 76 and 77, he was a real ruthless leader of the country. But I survived it. I just learned to fight to survive and had a lot of Filipino friends and I don't know, it's just, I had a good time too.
Did you receive any specialized training?
No, I see. Oh, when I was in the Philippines, I got to be over the armor. No, my training was, I was the MO 0331. I was a machine gunner. That was the only specialized training I had.
Did you have a nickname?
No. Let's see, I don't think so. Let me see. No.
Where did you serve?
When did I serve?
Where?
Oh, I served in the Philippine Islands. I spent most of my time there.
Do you remember arriving and what that was like?
Yes, I do. Matter of fact, after I got off the plane, which was in Manila, I was thinking to myself, how do I speak to these people because I don't know their language? And to my behold, they spoke English. And I just wondered, I mean, you're just curious that you're such a teenager and you don't know anything. And I learned a lot about the Navy. I had never been around or exposed to the Navy. And those petty officers and stuff would go by and they'd have brass on them. I thought they were like lieutenants or something. And I remember waving to several. I went, "What's wrong with these people? They don't salute back." I mean, I was saluting, but they wouldn't salute back, and they wasn't even officers. I had to learn a lot. I just didn't know anything. I mean, here I come from the mountains, and I didn't know anything except the Marine Corps. That's all I knew. Boot camp, and now I'm out in the world.
Would you tell me about a couple of your most memorable experiences?
Ooh, gosh. I remember, well, let's see. Had a lot of good times with the women and some dangerous times too. I would visit on my liberty different disco clubs back in those days and stuff. And that's where I had to fight a lot to survive. I've had daggers stuck in my neck. And 1 week out of the month, we had to go to the field, and I had to lay with a federal guard at that time. It's what he was called, a Filipino. He was an elderly man, about my age now, in his 60s. And the first week or so, it was a little bit rough because the snake would crawl across your feet. And he would constantly tell me, don't worry, just don't move, be real still. I finally got used to it. One memorable thing about that being close to the jungle there was, this hurts. When he told me about his father, when Pearl Harbor was bombed and the Japanese took over the Philippines, and some people might have heard of the Death March and all that stuff, and how the Japanese dig ditches. And you mostly would shoot the men and let them drop in. But, I was just a teenager. I mean, he was a babe. He was a little boy. He told me about his father when they cut his head off. His body fell in the ditch. one of the Japanese soldiers kicked his head in the ditch with him. And we talked about a lot of stuff. Just things that I'll never forget. Even though I wasn't there, I wasn't even born yet. But he told me about the stories. Stays with me today. Other memorable things was having a good time with the women and getting in trouble all the time. That probably sums me up, I guess, about the question you asked me.
How did you stay in touch with family and friends back home?
I wrote my wife all the time, and I called her on the telephone until back then. I called her. It was like $300 for a few minutes, and then she had to I had to quit calling her because they said we have to get a business phone because it cost too much. She was staying with her sister, so I just wrote to her a lot. Yeah, my foster parents, they kicked me out when I quit college, so no more benefits for them until I was 21, so that was a good thing too, I suppose. Let me grow up a little easier. Anyway, I turned 21 in the Philippine Islands.
Would you tell me about some of the special people you met?
Oh, I met a lot of good soldiers. One guy's, he was a weightlifter. His name was Brunus, I called him. He liked to smoke pot a lot, and I liked to drink. But I could run, and he couldn't. He said he would help me with my weight training if I would help him learn to run. But it didn't work. He couldn't hold up to the running. And the weightlifting, I continued to lift weights until after I came home, but I could never be as strong as he was. And then I had a few female friends that I had moved in with. As a matter of fact, I had 3 wives, kind of like wives, which is insulting to say here on this because I was married. I knew when I took my wedding band off, something was going to bad happen. Anyway, yeah, I had 3 wives. They all knew me. And I still went to the clubs and stuff. Oh, I remember one time I was at Mama San's, and girl, I bought her a drink, and I got up to leave, and the bouncer wouldn't let me leave. He was half American, I think, because he wasn't Filipino, because they're small. He wouldn't let me leave. I knew what he wanted me to take the prostitute, because that's how they make money. I mean, they even come on our base. We take care of them to keep them clean. Because you can't have no more sex. You just can't do no more. So I took her across the road, and we act like it anyway for a few minutes, and I brought her back. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I don't know if that's worth talking about. But that's the way I lived. And if Miss America walked up to me at that time, I would not even notice her. I mean, it wouldn't do nothing. I guess it's true. You can get enough.
Would you tell me about the day your service ended?
It ended rather sadly. I was risking just getting demoted because of my actions that I had went UA. I think the Army calls it AWOL, with a buddy of mine with some prostitutes up on the waterfalls. And we got drunk, and we just said we wasn't coming back to barracks, so that got me in a lot of trouble. They even sent a letter home to my wife, and I was missing on duty. So they got me in a lot of trouble.
How did you readjust to civilian life?
It was very difficult. I couldn't find a job when I came home. Let's see. Well, I went back to work at the factory I left before I joined. They went on strike. And then I tried to get unemployment like everyone else, but I couldn't because I wasn't in the United States for 12 months. I didn't adjust very well to that. I went, for God's sake, I am American. I just served my country. Now you treat me like I'm not even a citizen of the United States. But according to the state of Kentucky, you have to be here for 12 months to draw unemployment. However, the Marine Corps kicked on and helped me for a couple weeks of unemployment. And then I finally got a job as working in concrete and then bricklaying. And then I went to vocational school to try to get a job because I was starving. My family was starving. And my wife was pregnant and I don't know if we had the baby yet or not. Anyway, it was extremely hard. I worked on a strip job for a little while. That didn't last long. The owner's son needed a job because he's getting married to his daughter. And I just struggled. It was a struggle. People didn't seem to care about military people. It seemed as if they hated us for some reason. I don't know why. I never could figure that out. It's not like that today, especially in the Vietnam era. I had a good friend of mine. He died of Agent Orange. They called them baby killers and stuff. It's hard. People just don't accept you. And what do speak with you, they think you think you're something that you're not. Like you think you're something. But I don't. I'm just a regular person like everybody else. They just treat you different. I don't know. It's like I said in the beginning, I think sometimes they hate you when you come home. But that was back in the 70s.
Has your military experience impacted your feelings about war and the military in general?
Yes, it has. I wish there was no more war, but of course that's not even thinkable. That's been going on since Adam and Eve, and will go on until humanity erases itself. I'm more compassionate now about people. I know as a Marine, a lot of people think I'm trained to kill people, which I am. And I'm supposed to be good at it. But I'm also trained to save people's lives, too. People don't understand that. I'm more humble now. Watching the news on television, it breaks my heart sometimes. Just see how destructive society has come. Not just from a military standpoint, like I'm trying to get across, but as a human being, I can see now how the world has changed and how it's changing. So I have to give credit to the military for my understanding. Whew, I don't want to get into theology, religion or anything, but I do believe in God, though. The Marine Corps has shaped me in a way that I can understand and accept a lot of things I couldn't accept in the past. And the old saying, I'll always be a Marine, which is true. But I don't have to be the way I was. There comes a time when a human being has to be compassionate with others or to others and forget about forget about the past and your chauvinistic ways. Maybe I could put it better that way. I grew up believing women should have babies and cook and stuff like that, which is not true anymore. Homosexuals was a sinful thing. The only true thing was to be a God-fearing person. But my situation in the Marine Corps has given me the training, not to understanding, but it's helped me understand that that's not the way things are or should be. As a matter of fact, they aren't today, and they never will be again. I call it the old days. I was raised by my grandparents partially, so they died in the 70s. So you can imagine how far back I was raised. We raised hogs and chickens and milk cow, and I lived up a holler. Was raised really like I lived in the 1800s. So it was not until I joined the Marine Corps in the 1970s, that I really understand there was a different way of life. And I'm glad that I've lived long enough to see life, past, present, and future. Or what the future might hold, rather. That's all I can say about that subject.
What message would you like to leave for future generations who will view this interview?
For future generations, seeing and listening to this interview, I would like to leave them with the message that no matter what life dishes you, you can overcome it. You can be a better person. And you can learn to live in the present day that you're in.
Is there anything you feel like we haven't discussed or should be added to this interview?
No, I think we've covered pretty much everything. If we go too far in depth, I'll get emotional, which I am anyway. So I think I've spoke about as much as I should, or as much as I know how.
Okay.
Even though I'm going to college, I'm still just me. I don't know very much.